All right. Hey, welcome back to the Go for CEO channel. This is John the Bomb. Building others means business. And, it's so cool when a friend of 20 something years introduces you to an entrepreneur, to a mom, to just a tenacious, wonderful entrepreneur spirit. I've been reading a little bit on her website. I've been seeing some of the things that the Google reviews have been doing. And Josefina Jimenez started a company called Estilo Microblading. So you are in for a treat right now and have a great conversation with Josefina. How are you?
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I'm doing fantastic.
Awesome.
Grateful to be sharing some of my time with someone so knowledgeable and just grateful to be here.
Exciting, exciting. So, look, thank you for coming on. And, SME, right? Small to medium-sized enterprises. The hardest thing is kind of getting the name out there, right? And what are you thinking of as an idea? And if there's competition out there, how are you different? So, all these types of things we're going to go over today and get a chance to get to know you a little bit. You're in the Chicagoland area, correct?
Correct. So Estilo is located in River North on Chicago and Franklin. We also have a salon in Oak Brook for our suburban clients that hate going downtown because we all know that. Everybody asks me, why two in the same state? And I always answer because we all know that people who live in the suburbs do not want to go downtown, and people who live downtown do not want to go to the suburbs. So it just makes sense.
Yeah. It's so funny too, because it's literally 35, 40 minutes. It's not
Yeah.
like a big, when traffic's an hour and a half, then it becomes complicated. But the last few weeks, just with what I do, I've been downtown and back to Naperville about 10 times. So, so
Mhm.
I felt a little bit of the pain. I was on Devon actually in Chicago yesterday. So it was kind of interesting coming back in the mid-afternoon. So, but awesome, awesome stuff. So two locations. So look, we love to hear about, how is it that, Josefina, you kind of got the idea? Like, were you in the industry? Did you go for like esthetician and these types of things? Like, what made you think of this awesome brand and opportunity to start with?
So I feel like this for me has been a calling because I look back at my life now and I feel like everything that has happened in my life kind of positioned me to be not only doing what I love, but to be really good at doing what I love.
Mm.
Because ever since I was a young girl, I was super into like fashion design and interior design, and I used to love to draw. And I just remember like going through life, just trying to figure out what society tells you that you should do. So I was like, okay, well, I should be a lawyer, I should do this. And I get to school, and I was always like the top student in my class. I was super smart, still am super smart, but I just didn't like school. I was like, this is not for me. And I remember, finishing high school. I got into one of the best selective enrollment high schools in the city, and being like, you know what? This is not for me. I know I'm good at this, but this is not for me.
Mm.
And I grew up with a father who always had businesses. He owned restaurants. One here, he had one in Miami when I was a child, and his drive always and his work ethic kind of like inspired me to be like, well, my dad came here from Mexico, basically with nothing, and look at him. Like, I don't have to kind of take the route that society tells you have to take, And I kind of knew that was like the position that I wanted to take. So I finish high school, I start working, I start bartending, serving, all of the things. Um, Put myself through cosmetology school. I went to Paul Mitchell. And then I saw that microblading was a thing. Um, and when it started to become popular, I was kind of like, that looks really interesting. And for me, it was the perfect balance of making someone feel beautiful and also being able to incorporate my creativity and my like for drawing. I also was very passionate in high school. All throughout high school, I took a lot of like still life drawing classes. Ever since I was 3 years old, I used to sit and draw and just draw and draw and
Wow.
draw.
All right.
And I even have friends now from high school that are like, "Oh my God, Josefina, who knew you were gonna be doing this for a living?" I still have my sketchbook from high school, and I go through the pages, and I would like doodle in class, and it was all like drawings of eyes and eyebrows.
Oh,
And
wow.
now it's like, who was gonna know that I was gonna do eyebrows for a living, you know? So that I feel like all of that kind of came into making me become good at what I'm doing. Um, for a while, I worked at like a salon. I did hair, I did makeup, I did a lot of freelance work. Um, and I really enjoyed that. But I came to the realization that it wasn't so much the craft of doing hair and makeup that I was enjoying, but the way that people felt from the service that I had to offer. Um, and yeah, so when microblading became a thing, I first got it done myself back in like 2016, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. And then I would remember when I used to do makeup, the first thing I always did was the eyebrows, and I was like, wow, they really change someone's face. Like they can make you look 10 years younger.
Mhm.
um then I started to get like more into it, more do more research on what it entailed. Kind of forgot about it for a little bit just because life. I had my son, I was working, I was going to school, all of the things, you know. um in 2018, I had an event that really was life changing for me. Sorry, I always get a little emotional talking about it, but i I had my second son who, um yeah, it was 2018. He was supposed to be born 2019, and he was a stillborn child. 10 days before giving birth, he passed away. And it was the hardest thing of my life, the most transformational events of my life. Right now, all I can do is be grateful for him because he has made me who I am today. Um, that for me was the biggest turning points of my life. It made me realize how we live our lives thinking that we could die at any moment, but we don't really actually live that way.
Mhm.
And we
Hmm.
get so caught up in doing what society tells us to do, or what we think we're supposed to do, or what we're supposed to be. And we spend so much of our lives doing that that we forget about the things that genuinely make us happy. And I'm not gonna lie to you, that was the darkest moment of my life, where I sat in front of the wall for 3 months and stared and felt like a victim, and was like, why did this happen to me? I didn't deserve this, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm a good person. You know, was, I hit a rock bottom, definitely. I was taken to the hospital because I was having panic attacks. I was put on anxiety medication, all of the things. Um, but that was a really, really, really huge turning point for me, because I woke up one day and I was like, Josefina, are you gonna sit here and stare, excuse my language, at the fucking wall for another 3 months? Or are you gonna get up and go live your life? Because you have another child that depends on you.
Mhm.
And clearly you're here for a purpose. So what is your purpose? And in that moment, I had this like microblading. Like it just came to my mind, and I was like, okay, like this is, we're doing this, you know? And I remember I had applied to one salon a couple years back, and for some reason it didn't work out, but they, I went online again, and they were hiring again. But the post was like a month old. I was like, there's no way. But there goes Josefina, never accepting no for an answer. I was like, screw it. I'm just gonna go reach out and see what happens. Um, and they said, you know what? We just hired 2 people, but if anything were to happen, we'll contact you. but go in again and interview. And I said, okay, I'm gonna go interview. You know, I'm just shooting my shot here. You have nothing to lose. And so I did that, and maybe 5 days later, they were like, someone didn't accept the position. Are you taking it? I said, where do I sign? Right. I stayed there for about 2 years. Super grateful for that company. I don't want to get too much into detail about them because I don't know if you're able to crop this off, because when I started my business, we got into a lawsuit and I'm not really able to talk about it. But super grateful for them. They trained me. They gave me all of the necessary tools to become successful. I put in a lot of work. I built myself up. I went on social media really strong. I was very consistent. I knew what I had to do to get where I wanted to be. And you know, working, bartending, serving, all of the things, like you learn where you want to be and where you don't want to be. You know, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being there. On the contrary, I wouldn't be who I am today without all of those experiences. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, my 2-year contract was up, and I said, we're doing the damn thing. We're doing it. There was something in me. I remember being 20 years old and working those jobs that I hated and saying, I don't know how or what it's going to be, but by the time you're 30 years old, you're going to have your own business. And you're going to love what you do. And I don't know if it's a little bit of manifesting, but I do believe in those things. And I believe that when you put stuff out there, you get what you receive and what you work towards. And I've always been very much like that. Like I say, hey, I'm going to do this, and I follow through with it, or I'm going to do this and I follow through with it. Maybe it takes me a couple of tries or whatever, but if I have a purpose, it's going to happen. So yeah, after that, I just went with it. I was super scared, scariest decision of my life. I was risking everything. I was like, the uncertainty, you know. I even remember, you know, calling my dad, because he was like the one person that I was like, okay, I'm super scared. I'm gonna call my dad, and he's gonna reassure me. He's gonna be like, no, tú dale, you know? And I call him, and for the first time ever, my dad told me, are you sure you want to do that? You make really good money, you're comfortable, you have a family.
Wow.
And you know what, it was also one of those turning points, those moments that you'll never forget, because the one person that I was like, okay, he's gonna push me even more, and that time he didn't. It was the one time that he didn't, and I'm so grateful for it also, because I was like, I'm doing the damn thing even more now.
To prove them wrong. Yeah, no, it's interesting, right? I mean, the people you feel like are going to give you a certain type of message actually end up giving you a different message, but that's the message you needed to hear to actually do it, right? So really, that's really cool.
I think it's all about you realize that the people around you are just a reflection of you, and at the end of the day, you're the one who makes a decision or turns a situation around, or just even the way that you process your thoughts solely comes down to you and your character and your decisions and your goals and your dreams. And everyone is always only teaching us something about ourselves, you know? So in that moment, yeah, it wasn't what I wanted to hear, but you know what? That taught me that, you know what? Josefina does not give up. Josefina keeps going. That's my character that nobody can take away from me.
I love it. I love it. I mean, and that's a big part, you know, of a go for CEO mindset. You know, if you think about being driven by your mindset, driven by the things and the character that you've been able to develop, it's one of those focal points of being able to start a business. I've started three, and then I'm a commercial banker now. It's interesting from a perspective of, the first few businesses, it was like you said, kind of an idea, something. Oh, what am I? And then seeking some counsel, and it's very similar. I started kind of internalizing what you said with your dad, because I have an uncle in Colombia that is kind of my go-to. He's a little bit older now, but he had a little bit of a different perspective from another country and the bigger business that he had, and trying to solidify some of those entrepreneurial spirits. So that's awesome. So look, you take the step, right? You're rocking and rolling. So what are the first few things did you, and by the way, I get the whole, possibly, whatever, the lawsuit type of thing. If you're going to be successful in life, you're going to find some people that will want to sue you. That's the bottom line.
I kind
So,
of took it as a compliment. Actually, don't even crop it.
no, I'm not, because here's the thing, that is
Don't sue
part of
me
success.
again.
No, but there's, that's not going to come out. But it's the part of success that people fear is fear itself, right? And
Exactly.
it's
Yes.
Pitbull has a great song, right? Forget everything and rise, right? And that's true, right? Like, don't look at what's about to happen when 95, I think there's some statistics, like 95% of the things that you fear in life don't even happen, right? So it's about
100%.
it's about forgetting everything and rising, right? So anyway, so look, I mean, from a business perspective, did you seek out, the traditional, right? Hey, I need an accountant, I need a banker, I need an attorney, or did you just say, hey, I don't know what I need to do next, but obviously I've been working somewhere, my contract's up. Did you find a location? Like, what were those first few steps? And obviously, then we can go into marketing and some of the other things that you did to build the business.
Yeah, so I absolutely was completely unprepared. I didn't know anything about anything except I'm just doing the damn thing, and I totally agree with the fear thing. I think society has. I mean, we're not born scared of anything. I think fear has always been taught to us. We are taught to operate out of fear, and when you learn to operate from your intuition, from love, from a different thing that is not your ego and fear, then you unlock all this energy that you place on yourself. You realize, you know what? I can create what I want out of my life. It's that simple.
Mm,
It's most of the times it's you yourself saying, oh, I can't do this. Oh, I'm this. Oh, I don't feel this. Guess what? If you remove that fear and you say, I can, it even starts from the way you think, the way you speak, what you listen to, what you eat, all of the things, if you get rid of all of the fears, what would your life be?
mhm.
That's kind of what I did. I was like, you know what? Yeah, this is scary, but whatever, you're gonna do it. And I didn't have a plan. I didn't. I was just going off of my intuition and my drive, my character, and my passion. And it was the best thing I ever did because I wasn't afraid of anything. I was like, whatever comes my way, I'm just gonna tackle it. And I did. I did. I didn't have a business plan. It was just like, okay, you're doing this. You're gonna get this amount of money. And I honestly didn't even do math. I didn't do math. I started my business with $15,000, and I was like, you're really good at what you do. You're passionate. You know how to interact with people very well. Your clients love you. You can't go wrong. I get this little small room in the Nordstrom building on Michigan Avenue. That was a calculated risk for me because it was like a month to month basis. So I was like, if anything were to happen, I'm not tied down to this. Um, let's do it, and that's how I started. I started getting all of my clients coming in, and just shifting over my social media to my new brand, and I was the one who sat on my couch and made my logo. And I have a friend of mine who I also met at the Mexican consulate where my ex-husband used to work. His name is Mario. I was like, hey, I have this crazy idea. I'm starting my business. And he did not think I was crazy for one bit. I'm super grateful for him because I was like, when nobody believed in me, he believed in me. He was like, let's roll with it. Let's do it. And we
That's
start
awesome.
like the two of us just putting together like the website and this and that. And I would just like throw all these things at him. And he was like, okay, Josefina. And I'm very like, when I get into something, I'm just like, there's no stopping me.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, by the time I knew it, I had created my LLC. The logo was done, the website, the booking system. I had no idea what I was doing, but I was doing it. And you know what? I also realized that some of the best things that I've learned in my life were not structured or planned. It just flowed, you know. And yeah, I was there for about a year. Um, Decided I needed more space and a bigger, nicer area. Um, it was that space was nice, but it was more difficult for clients for parking, all the things. And I was like, it's time. It's time that we move on to something bigger, better, dream bigger, right? I had hired two independent contractors. I trained them myself, bringing them on, and I was like, okay, we're ready for more, you know. So I start looking for spaces. I find the space that I'm at right now, and I loved it. I immediately saw it, and I was like, this is the space, you know. Um,
How far, sorry to interject, but how far from the Nordstrom place is your current place?
Driving about 5-10 minutes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So did you, just to kind of give a little context, right? Obviously, you leave this other place, you find a month to month, you start promoting it, right? From your IG side of things, you change the profiles and you start to build some momentum there. Did you have a sense of, all right, how do I capture these clients if they're brand new? Obviously, if they're current clients, maybe you had some sort of contact information. Give us a little insight on that, because that's, I think, a lot of people, it's very much about how you start your business that has some success clues, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
and then there's some things that even if you didn't start it off perfectly, yesterday I met with a paving company and they talk about EOS being their system that they love, that they implemented right away from start.
Yeah.
And it's helped them to structure everything the right way. But in your particular case, you kind of just, all right, let's do this, right? So where did you start to, was it this gentleman Mario that you said that started helping you, giving you a little structure of, all right, hey, you should put a little database together, or how did you start to form that part of it?
Correct. So I had a database from my clients at my old job, and I also had like a big following on Instagram. So I
Okay.
kind of just transitioned everything over. And then all of my clients, you know, either found me or I found them. I had new clients just who knew, even based off of the Google reviews that were at my previous job, which the vast majority included my name. So these people like were going on Google and looking for like microblading Chicago. They go to my old place, which was the highest rated on Google before. And all these Google reviews say Josefina, Josefina, Josefina. So now they're calling Estilo and saying, hey, I saw Josefina left her job. How do I make an appointment? And then everything kind of just blew up, and we're like, okay, we need a system. So me and Mario kind of sat down and we're like, what's the best option? We decided on Square, which
Mhm.
is very effective for us. We can schedule clients, we can send reminders, we can customize everything. Where we honestly, when we've had clients say like, "Oh, I have an appointment today," and we're like, "No, no, we don't have you in the system." Like up to right now, there have been zero mistakes made in scheduling and stuff like that because it's so organized. We have reminders where they get a week before their appointment, so it gives them enough time to reschedule or cancel if they need to, and then they get another one 2 days before. They immediately get a reminder as soon as the appointment is made with the service, the name, the price, all of the things. They get an email that has the salon name, service, price, and the address to where they're going, whether they're going to Oak Brook or downtown. And obviously that keeps us very organized. Without that, I mean, I don't even know what to tell you. I have over 900 clients.
Wow.
Yeah, and
That would be chaos.
oh my God.
Yeah.
I can't even wrap my head around it.
And do your independent contractors also use the processes and the systems that you have, or have
Correct.
you allowed? Okay, so you've kind of channeled them into the culture and the process that
Oh,
you
yes.
developed, right? Okay.
Yes. So at Estilo, I did want to make this business very brand based. So there are, systems that are implemented, there's structure, there's rules to follow. I do believe that it is something so creative that I'm not going to sit there. I'm going to tell you the basics of how to do it, and anything that I can help you with, I will. But this is creative, and your artwork is different than my artwork. So I will implement the main idea, but I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, you need to add this here, you need to add this here. No. I believe in giving everybody the freedom to express themselves. As a business, that's the technical part of it. But as a business, there has to be, there has to be structure, there has to be rules, there has to be expectations. So I think that creates a good balance of people who are working with us to feel like, no, this is not your typical 9 to 5. I can express myself freely, still have structure, but it's not a free for all,
Yeah. So let me ask you, I mean, there's definitely an inflection point where you start the business, you're the main get, I always say a person that starts a business, the first 100,000 of revenue should really be on you. After you cross 100,000 to get to 1 million, it typically is all about growth and scaling and processes and how you start to do things. As you talked about, you systematized your scheduling, you use the POS system in Square, you start to really use all the tools to be able to kind of put your business together, so that now it's not just Josefina and what you're doing on Instagram. It's an actual business, Estilo Microblading, and they're starting to build a brand within the marketplace. So what was kind of the inflection point for you of being able to bring on independent contractors? Because a lot of small business owners get stuck with not building a business, but building a job for themselves when they had a job before. So
Yes.
tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that's actually a place where I was stuck maybe last year, where I was like, okay, what more do you want? You're living the dream, making good money, you can make your own schedule, all of the things. And then, boom, you start getting more and more people, that it's like, Josefina, you can only work so much. There's only one. I wish I could clone myself, and have little 5 Josefinas, but that's not possible. So that's where I decided, hey, like, you can't do everything. And it's a little breakdown of the ego, I would say, but also grateful for it, because it's taught me to transition my mindset as a business owner. Whereas when I first started my business, it was like, no, I want to run my business like this, and I want to start my business like that. And now, reaching your goals for yourself, and having the business and having the house and having the car, and you're like, now what? Now you, yes, continue to do what you love. Also, I can step back a little bit, continue to create this business as a whole, but also place myself in other scenarios where I can maybe start other businesses, grow other businesses, and put my fortes in and redirect it where it'll be the most efficient. And how do I explain it? Kind of like create that system where, like, I can step back a little bit. I can go start another business, and maybe have other people who come in and bring in their strong attributes. And that's how you create multiple empires, you know? Whereas before I was kind of stuck in my no, no, me, I want to do this and I want it this way and that way. And now I'm like, oh, this is how it really works. You
Mhm.
know, I have this, now I can go do this, but five brains are better than one, you know? And sometimes like before you get caught up in like the wanting more for yourself. But then you get to a point where you're like, okay, I already did everything society told me to. I got to where I wanted to. I don't necessarily, you know, want more. I just want to live a happy, steady life, balanced life, and have time to incorporate more of the things that I genuinely love to do. So how do I do that? You know? And I came to the conclusion of just that you can put yourself in positions where you have multiple people that are throwing what they're best at and, you know, growing together.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, you talk a lot about that's a talent mentality, right? So recruiting the people that are around you that are a talent, right? Because it's easy enough to pay for C and D talent, right? Because they're
Right.
plenty, unfortunately. But for A talent, right? Surrounding yourself with the right people. You talked about earlier. You wish you would have five Josefinas, right? And what you're trying to do right now is duplicate yourself through those independent contractors or people that'll be in the Estilo Microblading brand, right? So
Right.
that they have your mindset, they have the work ethic, they have the duplication part of what you've been able to do, and then you start to be able to be working on the business instead of inside the business, right? So there's different ways to do that. So really awesome stuff. I mean, you mentioned a little bit, which over the last how many years has Estilo Microblading been open?
Um 2021.
2021.
Yeah.
So,
So August will be 3 years.
okay, so August will be 3 years, and you're at a point where 900 clients, and those are all personal or Estilo itself?
Personal.
Okay, so
That was the last
personal.
time I counted, maybe a year and a half ago.
All right. So, and are they repeat customers? Because we also want to share, like, how does someone, in a service like this, is it a semi-permanent thing? Do you build up a base of where it's repeat customers coming in every 3 to 6 months, or?
Yes, so I would say it is semi-permanent, so it lasts anywhere from 6 to 18 months. I wouldn't say that people come back every 6 months and it's completely gone. But what can I tell you? People are obsessed with it. So they do come back every 6 months. There's times where I have clients that are like, oh, I don't really need it, but I want it. I'm like, okay. But yeah, I would say at least most of my clients are repeating clients. Like they come back every 6 months and they leave. I have them pre-booking out the door. They're like, Josefina, I'm gonna book right now because you're worse than the dentist. If I decide to book in 2 months from now, I know you're not gonna have anything available for the next 6 months. So we
That,
set up that system for myself as well, where my clients that know me, they're like, oh, I'm not leaving today without scheduling. If I want to come back in 6 months. Um, so we do that. We pre-book for 6 months, and then basically everything that I have available after that is for new clients. Whereas how we got to the point of, hey, Josefina's booked out for 4 or 5 months, we have to like we need to hire people,
Mhm,
you know, because obviously there's people who want and need to get the service done, and there's only one of me.
mhm. Well, look, I mean, it's an interesting point of inflection in your business when you go from you being everything in the business to be able to build a business, and you just said, right, to bring on someone. So, what are some of the things that you learned once you brought on your first person? Teaching them the culture, teaching them the process. You said you give them a little bit of free will because you guys are all artists in a way, right? And there's creativity that you want to be able to have that person have a personal touch with the client. But you also have a brand in Estilo Microblading. So there's a level of expectation that maybe someone that was referred in because you did the actual service now goes to an independent contractor that's still a representative of Estilo tell us a little bit about the mindset of how you started creating that consistency in value.
So I think that most importantly, it is the mindset. I always, try to explain to anybody who comes onto my team the way that you need to treat your clients. Customer service is everything. You can do the most amazing job at microblading, but if you don't know how to interact with the clients and you don't know how to give them an experience, then you don't have a business.
Mm-hmm.
Someone once told me that I casually met, he ended up being like the CEO of like Cadillac, like nationwide or something. I randomly met him at a restaurant. And he said to me, you never hire for the technical reasons. You hire people for their customer service skills.
Mm.
And he was like, I can sense your customer service skills from the moment I was walking into this bar. And I was like, okay, thanks. But I agree. I mean, I would say that that is going to be your game changer. You could be the most skilled artist in the world, and you don't know how to give someone an experience or how to make someone feel comfortable and happy, and like they want to come back, and you have nothing. You have nothing. And I think that's the most important thing, just knowing how to approach a client, how to interact with them, how to understand their needs. I always stress very highly on that with my girls, because it's so easy to stamp on a pair of eyebrows on someone's face. But the hard part is to really listen and to understand what they're trying to achieve. Because like I said earlier, everybody's only a reflection of us, a perspective. What I think is not the same as what you think. And there's a lot of people that come in and tell me, Josefina, I saw your work on Instagram. I love it. It's great, blah, blah, blah. And do whatever you want. And I say, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because they're your eyebrows. You're going to look at them every day, not me. So no, I can recommend you, I can guide you, but ultimately, it's not about what Josefina wants you to look like. It's about what makes you happy. And so being able to understand your customers' needs, I think is like the foundation of a successful business. And understanding their needs and their wants, we can now position ourselves in a place where now we know how to market better. Now we know how to target this, or how to adjust this technique, or what are we doing that makes them feel like this, or how can we improve this? So all of that is coming from understanding a customer's wants and needs.
It's very interesting, right? I mean, that whole experience is part of the C of CEO for Go for CEO is customer experience. So it's an interesting segue right now. So I appreciate that you setting it up this way. You're a master podcaster as well. So look, we typically end our interviews with CEO. So client experience, engagement. I used to call it employee engagement, but I really switched to engagement because you could see, right, Josefina, from bringing on new independent contractors to the way that you buy your supplies. The gentleman that you said, the CEO of this Cadillac, how they interacted with you, right? So engagement is a big deal. And then operational excellence, you've shared from a POS system to a scheduling process to all these things. So from a very high level, if you think about what you have been able to establish over the last 3.5 years, and hopefully what we could do is have you on every 6 to 12 months, kind of share that journey, maybe some of the other business ideas that you're putting out there into the universe that you're going to be building, or layering other services with what you're doing. I've got some people that I think maybe some good context for you as well. But from a perspective, no, my pleasure. So customer experience, what would you say is kind of the determining factor of what Estilo Microblading brings to the table when you think about your 900,000 plus clients, plus your independent contractor clients, and why they're leaving such great reviews? What's their customer experience in your opinion?
I think really listening and understanding to what they want and what they're trying to achieve, and not, I feel like a lot of people, and we've had people go to other places and not like the work and they come back, and I've heard people say, I went to this artist and they just did whatever they wanted on me, or they didn't ask me what, they just said this is what we measure, blah blah blah, boom. And I'm like, I'm kind of the opposite. I think that's what makes us very unique. It's very easy. And I'm sorry to say this, but it's the truth. Like, people are waking up and being like, I want to microblade because it makes so much money. And they think they're just going to get up and be so successful. It is not that simple. You are messing with people's faces here. And it
Yeah.
makes me so upset because I see some work that I'm like, this is so upsetting, because
Yeah.
people don't realize the trauma that they're causing to these people's lives. Like, it's their face. You can't just get up and say, oh, I'm going to do this and make all this money doing this. No, like, there's a lot of things that go behind it. And I would say we've had people say that, like, I went to this place and they just did whatever they wanted. They never asked for my opinion. And we kind of do the opposite. I'm like, hey, in my opinion, what looks the best is the most natural. Like, most people that come to me are like, Josefina, I don't care how much this is. I want you to make me look like me, but better. And I think that's the goal for most people. Like, they just want to look better. They don't necessarily want this whole transformational brow that makes them look like something that they're not.
Yeah.
So I think at Estilo, that's what we're very strong on. We're very good at just following what the person already has and just enhancing it. Just you, but better.
Awesome. Awesome. So, when you think about engagement, and you have a natural light, I mean, it's pretty obvious,
Thank you.
even through texting, to set up this interview,
Thank
it
you.
was always very like endearing and just kind of, naturally. So, and thank you for sharing, obviously, that tough moment in your life that
Thank
kind of transformed yourself.
you.
So,
Thank
from an
you.
engagement perspective, is there anything that you do with your current team? Do you do like a quarterly event? Do you have customer appreciation days? What are things that you do to engage your community of what you built with Estilo?
As far as just like my team or
Yeah, it could
clients.
be team. I used to say employee engagement, but it really is engagement. Like, I'm always very interested in hearing from a owner, founder, CEO perspective of like, how do you bring your vendor, your client, your employee, all the people that are around you that really make up your business in different parts. How do you engage with them? Is it, do you keep their birthday on some database, and do you acknowledge them for an achievement? What are those types of engaging things that you do?
So all of the people that work with me, I actually recently hired two people, so now it's a little bit different. But everybody who started my business with me were friends. So I was like, okay, I'm just making this dream life where I'm having my dream business, doing what I love. Everybody around me, I love. I love everybody and everything around me. I'm just gonna create this positive atmosphere. So everybody, or most of the people that are working for me, are friends. Mario's a friend, Myra's a friend, Alma's a friend, and it's great. Like, I've known them for a really long time and I trust them. And I have a lot of friends, but you reach out to the people who are your friends, but you also like, okay, Myra is, I've known her from since kindergarten. She's great at this, she's great at that, she's this. Myra, do you want to do this thing with me? Mario, do you want to do this thing with me? Alma, do you want to do this thing with me? And they have, I mean, just taken on the parts, and they're so good at it, and it feels good to create an environment where you have people that you love, helping you build your dream, and all of us just working together and making a better lives for ourselves.
No, I love it. So, yeah, so I mean, I guess, what you mean by engagement is treating people like family, bringing them around, having a circle that really is influential for the way that you interact on a daily basis with them. So, now the last
Exactly.
one is, what's that?
No, I said exactly. And we can go out to dinner and go out to lunch and do this and that, and it's still fun. And I feel like society creates this expectation oh, you're a business, you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't do that. And I'm like, but why?
Yeah.
But
No,
why?
I like that you've broken a lot of barriers, right? And myths of
Oh
things.
yeah.
Because a lot of things
That's my
that
purpose here, to break all the barriers.
that's right. That's right.
I
That's
always
awesome.
tell people when I interview them, I was like, please come as unprepared as possible. I just really want to know who you really are. That's it.
That
Like,
is cool.
there is one question that I ask that is like a key question that tells me everything that I need to know about them as far as what I need to know about them for my business.
Yeah.
But everything else, I tell them, don't bring a resume. Do not come prepared. Come as unprepared as possible. I just want to know you. And
That's
that's it.
awesome. No,
Yeah.
and you know that's you're getting a genuineness out of that because you know someone is not necessarily showing what they would think that you want to hear. They're sharing what they actually
Exactly.
are, right? So that's pretty
Exactly.
awesome. So the last one is O for operational excellence, and you know you mentioned you know some of the systems and things. Is there anything that's that kind of high level that you would say really is the mastery of how you operate your business? Is it the scheduling that you mentioned before? Is it the POS system that you decided to go with? Or is there other things that you've been able to do throughout the last 3 years that now it's kind of like a fine oil machine because of the operations that you've set up?
I think it would be a mixture of everything. I think um I don't think we could do all of it without a piece of all of those things. And
Okay.
that's what I was mentioning before. Like, you think that one thing is so important or one person is so important, but really, we can't do any of all of this without everybody's little grain of salt, you know?
Mhm.
And that's where you realize that you really do need to come together, that five heads are better than one, that Josefina can't handle everything. So, hey, Alma, I needed to handle this, Mario handled this, and it just flows better, you know?
That's all.
And customer service is always, I think, going to be the number one. I think everything else is secondary. Customer service, the way you make people feel. I am a strong believer in energy. Energy never lies. And people can sense that, and people know when you are real. And most of my clients, I feel like they come back because of that, because I strive to be very genuine, and like, I don't bullshit. Like, if
Yeah.
someone comes to me and they're like this, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing it, you know. Or I've had clients who are like, I want my eyebrows to look like this. I don't care if I pay you $2,000. I'm like, I'm not taking your $2,000. Like, I'm no, like, this is who I am. I I am a very genuine person, whether people like it or not. I'm always gonna be or give the best out of me, and you know, like, that's it. Like, I just, life is too short for BS. Life is too short to not be your best self, to be honest, to be a good person. Like, everything is energy and everything always comes back to you. So why put something out there that's just gonna, you know, not be good?
Sure.
Like, for what? What am I teaching my kids? What am I putting out into the world? You know? I, at
Absolutely.
least, especially after something so transformational for me, I always want to give something good. I want to leave a good legacy, and not, not necessarily, oh, my mom was a millionaire or my mom this, but hey, my mom was always like real as hell. My mom was always genuine. My mom never gave up. My mom was always there for us. Josefina was loving, she was caring, she was strong, she never gave up. All of the things that money can't buy, you know?
Yeah, and they're much more valuable in the end, right? So
Exactly.
awesome, awesome stuff. So Estilo Microblading, why don't you share just how people can get a hold of you or part of your team, how they can register to have an appointment, how you know where can they check you out on all the social medias?
For sure. So we do have our website. It's www.estilomicroblading.com. You can book any appointment on there, any service with any artist. Um, You can also book for either location there. We've had a lot of good feedback from our clients saying that it's very easy, it's straight to the point. You can check out our team, our little, little description of each of us. It has links to our business Instagram where you can see all of the work laid out. You can follow us on there. We also each, since it is so artistic, I love the whole freedom of expression thing. So we have an Estilo microblading. It's estilo.microblading.salon on Instagram. But I also have one that's like Josefina.Jimenez.Estilo Myra.Guzman.Estilo stuff like that. So you can see like my work versus Myra's work, and we throw a little bit of our like personal stuff on there, where I put like, my fitness journey, my mom life, my traveling, all the things. So all of that kind of also, it sets a mood for a client to be like, okay, this is the girl that I want to see, or this is the girl that I want to see. And everybody aligns with who they align with.
No, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, the way you put it out there, and especially with these social media, you can share aspects of your life that you want to share. You can share the reality of who you are, the authenticity, all that good stuff, right? And it really becomes something that where, some people, even just by the voice, right? You could hear someone speak and you're like, oh, I like that. There's something
Yeah,
about that, so that the vibration of how things happen.
exactly.
I always say, like, being Latino, like, we hug, we kiss, like, we're
Yeah,
we're very engaging, and it's interesting sometimes, like, different cultures, how reactive to that is, right? And sometimes, you got to be careful, right? Because some cultures, it's not about that, but if you can get to that point where that closeness is, it's really interesting. And Instagram and those types of platforms allow you to kind of feel someone's energy. So, like you've talked
yeah. You said a keyword, vibration. I feel like everybody vibrates at different levels, different frequencies, and the people that are simply meant to be in your path are aligned with you, and the people that are not are just not. And that's how you connect with people right away. You're like, oh, okay, this person is vibrating here, this person's vibrating here. I fit with this person, or I don't fit with this person.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Well, hey, thank you so much for being a part of the Go for CEO channel. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers before June 1st. That is the new goal.
You're gonna
You
get
know,
it. You're gonna do it.
we've been growing organically for a long time. For a few years, we've got 300 plus videos out there, and just sharing great stories, like people like Josefina Jimenez. Check her out at estilomicroblading.com. And be a part of the movement, right? So every 3 to 6 to 12 months, we want to bring on people that we want to keep on hearing about the journey, about what you're doing, and about some of the things that are going on. So again, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for being on here, and Go for CEO. Be driven by mindset.
Thank you so much for having me.